So we are going to look at the types of questions that are asked in the reading comprehension section. And this goes for your non-fiction or your fiction text, your poem, and your graphic representation. So, like I just stated, we have 3 texts that the SEA exam assesses. But there are different types of questions that you will be asked. There are literal questions, inferential questions, and questions where you have to use evaluation and appreciation. So let's look at the types. What does it mean? Literal questions. This involves giving information clearly stated by the author. You can literally go into the passage, the poem, or even the graphic text and get the answer directly from there. Very straightforward, right? The process of providing an answer for literal questions, very easy. You go and usually you look for dates, times, locations, facts, vocabulary. So they ask you for the meaning of a word. Very straightforward, right? Let's look at some examples of literal questions. So these questions involve the where, when, what, who, right? So some examples can be, where does the story take place? That's location. What date did the event take place? When will someone be arriving? Who took something from someone? Or who does the story involve, right? These are examples of literal questions. Now we move on to questions where we have to use evaluation and appreciation. So these questions require some critical thinking. We have to consider the text itself, yeah? So in terms of your appreciation, we need to connect emotionally and aesthetically with the text. So we need to feel a type of bond with the characters or with the scenarios that are presented within the text, yeah? So it's an emotional response that you're giving to a literal text, yeah? And with these questions, we have answers that when we state them, there's no right or wrong answer. The answers are subjective. However, they must relate to the information that is presented in the text. While there's no right or wrong or yes or no answer, the answer must relate to the information that is presented in the text. It must make sense. Yeah? So some examples of evaluation and appreciation questions. What do you like or dislike about the passage? That's very subjective. What you might like about the passage, I might dislike. And what you might dislike about the passage, I might like, right? However, our answers must relate to the information that is presented in the text. They might ask you which of 2 characters you prefer and why, yes? Or state 2 ways in which the language of the poem or the passage affects you, the reader. We give all subjective answers to those questions. And last, we have inferential questions. So we will be looking at making inferences. Yes? So these types of questions require us to make an inference. And we are giving more than just a literal meaning. So we need to understand it a little beyond what is literally stated. Yeah? So we are required to think outside of the box for this as well, because the answers are in the text, yes, but it's not clearly stated. We have to read between the lines for the answers to these questions. And let's look at some examples of inferential questions. So the passage, the poem, or the graphic might ask you to give one reason why a particular word or phrase is written in bold. They could possibly ask you what kind of person is a particular character and give one detail from the passage to support your answer. They can ask you to identify the mood in a stanza or a particular paragraph and give one example to support your answer. So these are all examples of inferential questions. And that's it, guys. See you all in the next session.